everyone, and welcome back to Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Samantha Powell.
And I'm Ben Barnard.
And we're so excited to be back with you again. So Ben, InfoComm is even closer since the last time I chatted with you. So what are you looking forward to most right now at the show?
I know. I cannot believe that it's come around so quickly. It feels like just yesterday we were in Barcelona doing Invicta TV at ISE, and now we're getting ready to head off to Vegas. But I mean, of course, I'm super excited to see you again, to host the Invicta TV show, to see our new co-host Ben.
Yeah, how long of a flight is that for you?
It's like 10 and a half hours. Yeah, so it's a pretty big one, but it's going to be worth it for sure to see the team, to see everyone there. Obviously, see all of the new tech. Just kind of get in amongst it, be on the show floor, and just kind of like be with the community. How about you? What are you looking forward to?
So I know I've been working with our education team, so there's going to be a lot of great content that's going to be available, a lot of wonderful integrated tours. There's the UNLV tour that's happening on Monday. I got to take a look at that campus and just some of the latest and greatest AV that's been put into those campuses. So definitely if you have the opportunity to check that out, you want to go do that. Also, I know there's a HyperX Arena tour, and that's happening on Wednesday. I also got to see that venue. I'm not a gamer, but it is all things esports, massive. I don't know, Ben, are you a gamer at all?
You know, I was, in my youth, so I don't get that much time to do it these days. But certainly want to stop by and check it out, because it'll always have a little soft spot in my heart for the gaming world. So yeah, I'll definitely swing by there. There's the Emerging Trends program that I'm really keen to have a look at. I know we've got representatives from PTS Consulting, Ernst & Young, Gensler, and Faith Group. I think that's on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. That's going to be really cool, a really cool program too. And obviously, emerging trends are the things that we all want to know about what's next, and all the kind of exciting stuff that's going to happen in the future. So tons to look forward to. And speaking of which, I know, Sam, you had a really interesting conversation with Peter from Televic. They started off in Europe but have had quite a meteoric rise and a kind of expansion into the US recently. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. I know they're right now working on getting out of their niche market. They've been around for 75 years, and they're not as well known in the U.S., so really excited to see how this expansion works out, and they've been doing a lot of great things. So why don't we take a look and let's check out this interview.
Let's do it.
So I'm joined today with Peter Papageorge with Televic. Peter, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Samantha. I really appreciate the time.
Awesome. Well, I want to know, and I know our viewers want to know too, tell me a little bit more about who Televic is.
Yeah, it's a fun question, because a lot of people in the States really have no idea the history and background of Televic. And it's a rich history. Our company's been around for 75 years. We're based in Belgium. And our core managed meeting concept of what we do as a manufacturer has been there for decades. And we supply systems to NATO, parts of the United Nations, European Union, and it's discussion microphone systems, which we'll talk about today. But our recent changes has been the expansion in the United States, and really kind of since the pandemic. The pandemic changed a lot for us. And so now, we've been doing a lot for 6 years here as direct offices for Televic, working with our large-scale customers like the State Department, Department of Defense, NIH, the military, and there's lots of reasons for that. But now we're expanding into general AV, so it's exciting to be part of the Avixa show today.
Oh, wonderful. And so you guys have offices. Where are they located now in the U.S.?
Yeah, no. Well, we have people throughout the United States, a whole team, but our main office is outside Washington D.C. in Beltsville, Maryland, and that facility houses an experience center as well. So what's nice is we get to bring people in virtually into that space to experience how our products work from a remote perspective, and then that facility is also available to bring people in for demonstrations and meetings, and again, just to kind of put your hands on the equipment. But a lot of our large scale clients historically are on the East Coast in the Washington D.C. area up through New York, but all over the country now. So that's nice to see the growth over the last few years.
Yes, no, I can definitely understand being from the DC area and, talking about a lot of those organizations that you had worked with before, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So as a company that's now relatively new to the US market, can you just tell me a little bit about what initially motivated Televic to enter into that market?
Yeah, good point. Well, our core is, as many people that may know a little bit about our niche part of the AV business, is discussion microphones of all different kinds. And what does that mean? It's a microphone with a built-in speaker on the base station itself. And that's all we do. We're very focused on just that. And when you start to look at, well, why has that been a secret or not used often in the States? And it's because in fact, I often get a lot of people at end user shows and things. They go, "This is really interesting. How come we never get shown this?" And I say, "Well, it's nobody's fault. We're a DSP country, and we do DSP, and that's what we do. And these systems typically were closed-ended and only worked a certain way, and you couldn't coordinate and interface with, the audio and APIs with." The DSP system. So either you needed it or you didn't. And now when I say needed it, I think in terms of a large parliament with, let's say, 200 plus people, and they have to have formal voting and agendas and languages. And if we can do simultaneous interpretation, which we can up to 60 plus languages at the same time, that's our core. That's our history. That's what we're good at. And when I say that's what we're good at, that's kind of what we've done around the world for world parliaments and governments and organizations. But now it's fun to see in the U.S. market how we've expanded in our core over the last 6 years being in direct offices here in the States. But now we're moving into general AV. And when I say that is, that's the big shift of during the pandemic. Our product became valuable in a traditional sense. So that's kind of what's new for Televic going forward.
Oh, fantastic. Now, have you encountered any, issues or any challenges with making that move, coming from, a larger scale and now going, a little bit smaller now?
Yeah, well, actually, it's kind of been in reverse. We were in our niche, which is a small, focused group. Let's say, in fact, a number of people over the years would say, "Wow, this is really cool. If a UN ever pops up in my backyard, I know who to call." And I go, "Well, how often does that happen, right?" But now, to think of it this way, if you have a microphone and a built-in speaker, whether it's and there's so many products we can reference. It's whether it's our wired units or our wireless units, or it's our units with video and webcam all in one as an AV appliance. Those have been the significant solution for managed meetings to create better understanding, as we say at Televic. We understand not only the audio, but think about body language, being able to see, but being able to vote and documents and hearing. But that's all the specifics. But the transition during the pandemic was really key. Meaning during the pandemic, people contacted us and said, we need something to be able to meet safely and hook up to Teams and Zoom. And that's all they wanted. They didn't need agendas. They didn't need voting. They didn't need interpretation. They just said, we have to be 20 feet apart or we're stuck in a plexiglass box. And you go, well, okay. And why did they search us out? Well, people found us from all verticals, meaning corporations and higher education and school boards and our traditional city and government markets. And they said, you have a product with a built-in audio right in front of every seat. That's unique. It's not normally used. And we said, yes. And they said, well, can you help us out? And the courts actually were the first ones to come about a year and a half to a little over 2 years ago. And they said, we believe this technology can help with what we need to do, bring audio where it needs to be in addition to our DSP designs. So ultimately, that's what we've been working on. We've really made a move to expand it. So instead of being in a small niche, we all of a sudden became valuable because of those situations that said our hardware now can be used in those designs because of all the changes we made.
Wow. And now, so it's great that you've, branched out and outside of that niche. And it sounds like you've gotten a really warm reception from end users. So that's great. And in that expansion, I know on a previous call, there was a discussion about creating a better understanding. Can you tell me a little bit about that initiative and how that aligns with the AV industry's needs?
Yeah, well, I think the core of our company, and our company is rather unique. I really enjoy it, being part of it. It's over 1,000 people strong. We have over 300 engineers. Our factories, we own our own factories in TAA compliant countries. So making hardware is one thing, but if you don't listen to the markets and find out what they want, so understanding the market was the first kind of concept. And our company is very big on that and customer experience. We want to understand what it is that you do need. This is our product. We made this. Well, what's wrong with it? What's it missing and things? And we're sitting here today, I think, with our success because of that initiative. And then to create better understanding, we found that it wasn't just audio. It wasn't just video. And that's where the depth of our entire portfolio, and as we grow and bring more solutions to the market, is about understanding, meaning how do you make decisions? Well, sometimes you have to have a document, voting and things, and that's where all of our tools. So when people can look at us now in two different ways, we're like two parallel tracks, the way I see it. The traditional sense that we've done for decades, and yes, if a UN ever pops up in your backyard, we can help you. But
do you
even
want that,
small,
though? Do you?
Well, yeah, sure. Actually, no, I don't want any more young track.
No.
But I good point. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But ideally, any version thereof that's smaller. When it comes down to the awareness of better understanding, I'll give you some examples. Those same people that contacted us during the pandemic, let's say a city council that said we just need to meet safely and hook up the Teams and Zoom. They didn't even know that we had voting and agenda and languages and things. And they said, wow, first off, can you help us with our integrate your product with this existing design and put this in? And then can we add on the voting and the documents and everything later? And I said, sure. I said, why later? They said, well, our budgets don't get refreshed until October. We had the audio decisions discussed, and it's great that you can do this. In this case, it was wireless, and we can sit anywhere and be as many feet apart and communicate. And then they said, but if we can add this on later, that's kind of the benefit. We went from one track to the other. Our traditional managed meeting with everything, with general AV, we just were talking about managing audio to make sure we can hear, the hybrid person and the people in there. So two separate tracks now. Normally we were just one, that UN in the backyard concept. Like that's all Televic did. And it wasn't necessarily a fair comparison because we always were in other markets. But really now going into that new general AV, and it's all because of things like DSP mode, plug and play USB, wired and wireless. These are all the expansion we did just in the last few years that gave the integrators and the designers the power to integrate our things more so than ever before.
And I was going to say, yeah, it seems like it's all intuitive and it's all, inclusive. So it does have like that plug and play option. So it's an easy setup, it sounds like.
It's both. Now, again, if we take the managed meeting and the UN concept out for a moment and we say, here's that general AV track, we've expanded that into 3 or 4 areas for our general AV community. DSP mode, actually you said it best. There's features there for the average person, end user, that make things easy. And you say, what's easy? Well, there's another story about Televic that's rather interesting because for years, being in the AV market, understanding Televic is what they call push to talk. You're going to push it, and then you can talk, and then you push it, and then you stop. And in various places around the world, there's order to meetings, and there's, you wait to speak your turn. You're on the list, the request list. In fact, our system has so many advanced features in that way, you could have it to where request to speak, where there's 2 or 3 people talking, and then the 4th, 5th, and 6th that turn their microphone on, they have blinking lights and their mic's not live. They have to wait their turn until somebody turns theirs off and it automatically turns on. That's called request to speak mode. Well, the reality is in America, nobody likes to push a button and nobody likes to wait to speak. We just all do it, right? So there was a culture difference between the United States and the Europe and other markets around the world, where that's another reason discussion microphones really weren't used in a major way unless you really needed those specific features. So during the pandemic, it was like, okay, we needed these features for the courts. We needed live microphones and live speakers, don't touch a button, and just talk. And that was historically never in our niche, and now it is. So ever since the community, the AV community, found out that not only do we have these for the end users, meaning simplicity with what they ask for, and they don't want to push a button, now they can use this category for their customers' requests in the United States primarily. The other half was DSP mode. DSP mode basically said, well, that's really cool you do that, but you can't interface with what we do. So that's a whole nother expansion that is what we did for our partners in the AV market.
Now, are you seeing any difference now that obviously, post-COVID, like immediately after, there was a huge surge for this, and now there's that return to work and more employees are getting back into the office. Are you seeing any, certain aspects of what Televic has? Is it being utilized more, or are there any trends that you're seeing now that we're in this new wave of, I guess we'll say, return to work and hybrid work?
Yeah. Oh, no, awesome question. I think that what's interesting, first off, the plexiglass is almost gone, which is good. And you would think that people might revert back going, hey, this is cool, but we don't need it now, type of a thing. Just the opposite happened. And it was nice to be available, during the pandemic, to be able to have your own factories and engineers. We weathered the storm of the supply chain issue because our team of engineers, God bless them, they were redesigning products on a weekly basis, new FPGAs and processors, and you go, oh my gosh, what a terrible thing to have to do, but they did it, and we were shipping product. Well, the more and more we found out that even though that plexiglass went away, more people are returning, one thing that people agree on, hybrid meetings are not going to go away. Now, remote, everybody is, that's what's being challenged. But the flexibility of hybrid, everybody has to make sure that we can do exactly what we're doing here. I didn't fly out to have this in person with you. Wouldn't make sense. But it doesn't mean that we're not working in an office. So that's here to stay. But what's more important is a lot of the applications, when people are in a room, I'll give you an example. If you have a big U shape, there's some pictures we can reference. A big U shape, let's say of 20 to 30 people, just hearing a person from one end to the other is not necessarily easy. And you sit here and go, oh, okay, well, are you going to mic everybody? And line array microphones are great for picking up. I mean, there's so many benefits for all different technology. And I'm not saying our product replaces it. It's interesting that our product now complements. So if you can hear people across the way and at the same time, Teams and Zoom can hear, because most of us are here, but there's always somebody remote. Our product became valuable because of how it works, and now it's interfaceable because of DSP mode too.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you just share with us a little bit of some of those products that are helping to move from that niche market? That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So our general line of wired and wireless, let's stick with the wired. It's the Confidia Flex. It's our standard audio unit that is one piece of hardware that's configurable. So if you just want to talk, just there you go, talk. And you plug it into our engine and you're good. DSP mode on our engine, you just click here. You can have it run our way, just kind of standalone, self-managed, and it's all good, ready to go. Or the integrator can say DSP mode, and they can take every one of our microphones out Dante into whatever DSP of choice there is. And then you can say, if you want to put an echo canceller on every one of our mics and EQ them all differently and gate them or compress them or whatever you want to do, and then send them back down Dante to our each individual speakers, just as if they were gooseneck mics on a dais and ceiling speakers. Same concept now. That's never been done in our niche. Now, that's what it kind of opened the door to all of the applications, no longer just, our core United Nations kind of a managed meeting concept. That opened the door, meaning now we can route, we can group, we can do this, and then all the APIs for control were all there too. So in a nutshell, what that means was the designers can now leverage audio easily without the room and within the room itself in front of every person, instead of relying how to zone and different things. And now it's a combination. It's not either or, it's working within it. So that's the wired flex. Unicos is our version of what I just said with a video panel and a built-in webcam. That became the all-in-one appliance for corporations. And again, what was fun for me was I did not expect corporations to say, hey, we want to check out your stuff. Because typically over the many, many years I've been doing this, I've had many corporations say, over my dead body, are you going to put that on my nice conference table, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, I agree. There's a lot of corporations that will never put anything on the table. And then during the pandemic, we had some of those people call and say, hey, can we check out your, wired unit or wireless or whatever? And I go, wait, weren't you the guy that was over my dead body? He goes, yeah, things have changed. I'm remote and I can't hear anything in my conference room. So, and again, it's not that it replaces all of them, but it's another tool that is amazing. So wired is that. Now, the other in Unicos is the billing with built-in webcam. So now you get to say, here's a screen, here's the webcam. When you speak, it shoots you and then basically says, hey, you know what? We can have it to where it automatically turns on a button push or audio, work within all the parameters. And now we became the all-in-one AV appliance for unique applications and line of sight. So a lot of expansion there. So those are two examples of our expansions recently.
Wonderful. Now, are those going to be there at InfoComm for attendees to look at, or hopeful?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, no, our booth will be pretty robust, and we have many people that will be in our booth with engineers. I think what's exciting is not only will the hardware be there, but it'll have all of the workings of what I'm saying. And those two products are kind of the underpinnings of what we discussed so far. I think what's neat is to see that there's two other things that are kind of another expansion of Televic. So like the wireless units became very valuable tool during COVID because of the flexibility of the types of rooms that we all meet in. So if you go to any room, whether it's universities or otherwise, people are moving things around, whether it's a classroom today or U-shaped tomorrow, it may be divided rooms. There's 100 people in here today, and then the air walls go off, and here's different groups of different sizes. Well, our wireless systems, we can have up to 128 of our wireless Flex G4 units that look like our wired, by the way. And you could have them just turn them on, put them out there, and just talk and have a meeting, and connect it to Teams and Zoom via our I/O, digital or analog. And when people found that out, they go, whoa, all right, we know this category existed, but now Televic has the lower profile, the max with wired and wireless, and expansion to do this, and it just added on another nuance of the core AV product. So there was a lot of people that said, hey, this is something to do in so many requested ways now that we can have different routing and different control. So that is. But back to InfoComm, yeah, absolutely. I really look forward to meeting a lot of people and showing them all these solutions.
Oh, I definitely can't wait to stop by the booth and check out all those things. And you were saying that you can have so many of those mics in a room. Is there like a centralized location that somebody can, monitor and make changes as opposed to like having to go to one individual, mic or so forth like that?
Yeah, no. I think that there's, in the food group of our products, there's not that many. When it comes down to, when you look at our core solutions, there's the wired flex and the wireless flex. That's a good team. And by the way, we're one of the only companies in the world that can provide that tandem approach, meaning I can have wired units on the dais and then bring wireless in and hook them up when I need them and take them off, or just use wireless standalone. Both of those have engines. All of our systems have an engine, and that engine you hook it up to, or it's wireless to the access point engine, and you can now pull up that engine via browser. Just all you need is the IP address and a password. and then be able to look at the system for diagnostics. You can look at it for control. So referencing your question about where could you see the system one at a time or all of them, we can provide you a synoptic view of any of our systems that basically say, here's the room, here's all the mics, nice picture of the room or a diagram, your choice. And then when they are activated, you will see them light up or waiting to light up depending on the mode, or you can actually turn them on and off from that picture, that synoptic view. So this is mainstay of what we've done for decades. But, again, back to that other part, that's that. So that's the wired and wireless. The Unicast product, that is the video unit, has a multimedia engine. Same thing. We can dive in, we can route video, we can route audio, we can, provide that necessary control to our end user, our integrators. And then there's one last system, and it's called Discerno AE. And it's our very basic plug and play system. And I think that's going to be a game changer in a different way for two markets, because we're bringing more features to that, but that'll be on display. And I'm excited to talk about that as well. I mean, it's a fun product to do.
This is exciting. And it sounds like, I could maybe even manage all of those mics. It sounds so easy and seamless. So
yeah. Well, you know what? Think about this. You've done a lot of Teams and Zoom meetings and podcasts and things. I think the coolest thing about what we're bringing to market for InfoComm is the plug and play Discerno system is the first one of our series that you can plug directly into a computer via USB. So think of it this way. If I gave you a system, which, is the point, as an end user, and say, look, you know what? We want something simple. We don't have a big budget. We need something. And traditionally, there's been so many of our customers we bumped into that maybe have maybe it's a little mixer with all the knobs and faders. And we hear many times they say they have duct tape over it that says, don't touch this, don't move it. It's not squealing. I go, squealing? And you mean feedback? Whatever that is, it's terrible. Yeah, and then they
That'd
have
be my terminology. Yeah, squealing.
But then they have the wrong microphone. Maybe it's an SM58 vocal microphone on a table in front of 6 people, expecting that to work. And you look at that and go, well, they just didn't have a budget, or they didn't find somebody to show them the right path with whatever budget they have. Discerno is great because I have a test system out right now, and these are in production as we speak. You have a unit that you can hook up to 50 units, but the coolest part is I can have 16 of those microphones live mics, live speakers, don't have to push a button. And you sit here and go, well, how many of our customers need that? Many. And then hooking it up right to your computer. So how when you plug in a device to your computer, it pops up and says, hey, you plugged in some headphones or a mic or a video or whatever. You plug it in and it says Discerno microphones, Discerno speakers, and you're in your Teams and say, do you want to use those instead of your headset? Yes, please. And then all of a sudden, you're just having a meeting. And that's it. And it's not necessarily an integrated solution until it becomes one. There are so many of our customers that said, that's really all we need. I want to get rid of the duct tape. I don't want any squealing. I don't want the vocal mic. And I just would like to be able to hear not only each other, but also the person on the other, remote, we hear each other, they can hear us. And that's such a breath of fresh air, but we're also putting into that engine the power of DSP mode and AES67. Again, really listening, creating better understanding for ourselves to listen to our AV partners. They were the ones, if they're using a biamp Tessera and they want to take each of the microphones or some of them and do whatever they need to and manage the room, they can do that with this system as well. And I think that's where it's really getting exciting. And in many verticals, and the court market was really one of those that this whole thing was born because of the requirements from the courts.
And what were the court's requirements per se, other than no duct tape and no squealing? I'm sure.
well, there are good installations in courts too. Now they're not all like that, but there are a few I saw. So the number one thing for court, and this is a fun story because that's really what kind of pushed us into DSP mode and all these features. We realized that their requirement was a microphone at the judge, the witness, prosecution, defense, and a few others, depending on the court. And they needed to hear each other. They needed to have remote, but more importantly, they had to route all the audio to the court of record of the software. There's many court software packages out there. And regardless of that, and regardless of DSP, and regardless of Zoom or Teams, it doesn't matter. Our product became the core of limiting acoustic issues, bringing all that together as kind of an anchor puzzle piece of a standard thing. So when I say that, acoustics, you go, every courtroom's not exactly the same. And in fact, some of the historic courtrooms with 20+ foot ceilings and hard surfaces and you go, where do you put speakers in here? And maybe they're historic where you can't run cables. And so you sit here and go, well, wait, if you have audio at every seat, then, and it's not going to be the only thing in the room sometimes. They might have speakers above the gallery that are separate. But when it comes to that well area, our product had to communicate with everybody there so we could hear each other, meaning the judge hears the defendant definitely hears the witness, and vice versa. And then the Zoom people, bringing in witnesses and people from, let's say, prisons, they have to be able to be heard. But it got to the point where we had to make changes with our systems, and that's what we did. It all started there where we needed hands-free, we needed DSP mode, and actually Biamp helped us with this one. They basically found out what we were doing, and I said, they said, hey, could we join you on this because we're in a lot of courts? I said, please, thank you. And they came in and they used our DSP mode, Sam, and it was to the point where you go, they took our hardware, DSP mode, and they put echo cancelers on every mic. They EQ'd them. They did this. They routed them. They put it through. They hooked up the UC computer. They even gave us a little control that controlled our volume and sidebar mode, where when the judge says sidebar and he hits the button and all the mics go red, pink noise goes through our speakers, and all the mics are muted, including the far end. And they come to the bench, and the attorneys in the bench have a sidebar conversation, but that audio is being routed to the court recorder because it has to, but nobody else hears it. Those are the uniquenesses of what needs to happen. But Biamp did the heavy lifting of routing, but it was our hardware that brought the nice microphone, the nice speaker, and the simple cabling, meaning a standard shielded Cat5 to connect all of ours. It just, any standard shielded cable is fine, fiber better. And you go, wow, this is a new way to look at installations. It started there, then corporation got involved. In fact, universities now are saying, hey, wait, maybe we can look at these pods and smaller lecture halls a different way now. And that kind of rolled into the only reason this was available was because of DSP mode in our hardware. It gives the total power back to the designer. So now lecture halls, let's say the guy in the third row in the third seat needs to debate the person that's in the back row and on screen Dubai and Pittsburgh all at the same time. Our product helps do that kind of a concept because it brings audio to every seat easily and affordably when you look at the big picture of your entire design. So, I mean, think about all the things we talked about. It all comes down to one thing: audio in front of everybody, regardless if it's wired, wireless, one series or another, with video, without, but all interchangeable. And there's so many other things that we do to augment that, but that's kind of, where we've really seen a tremendous growth. And it's not stopping because of the pandemic. I think the Americas are learning about this category that's been there for decades overseas, but now can become valuable to any design. So it's a fun story.
Wow. Like after just hearing about all the innovation and ways that, you're able to work with other products and make things just flow and work seamlessly, I can't even imagine where you could go next. But of course, that is going to be my next question because, this company is so innovative and it's rapidly expanding. So what do you see are the next frontiers in terms of technology and market presence that Televic is in that trajectory?
Yeah, no, great. I think it's expanding on everything that I said from the point of view of making sure we're certified with different platforms and teams and Zoom rooms and things. That's ongoing, and we have a lot of great movement in that area. I think there's a lot to be said about video. And we have our own pan-tilt zoom cameras, but what people are learning now is all of our APIs work with the camera systems that exist on the market, meaning we can take our system, but I think expanding that knowledge is the next step. So we talked a lot about audio, right? What people don't realize, our standalone video unit, they can do up to 6 high-def video feeds on our system. Expanding that knowledge, I think, to the marketplace is next for us. Coordinating with other products on the market. We are very, very fortunate to have many manufacturers reaching out to us that says, we want to coordinate with you. We see where Televic has been now all these years overseas and in all these places, and now in the United States, many different markets and things. So I think honestly, our expansion is more about supporting the industry in the various ways and improving what we have already. So our many engineers and our company really get that. And it is about back to create better understanding. And by the way, I often say that we never talk about interpretation much over here in the United States. And I keep getting corrected on that, saying when you start to tell people what you do, all of a sudden they go, oh, wait, we could use that, just like voting, they didn't ask for it. So if you say, oh, yeah, here's a system, we did exactly what you said. And, oh, by the way, if you want to vote, you could just add this one-time license, and then you own it. What does it do? Well, here, let's try it. They put votes in and it pops up and there's buttons and you vote and here's a document. They go, wow, we never knew you could do that. And from an integrator point of view, it's really awareness and say, look, you know what? Why would you recreate the wheel if you just say add this on when you want? So I think that's where we're headed. And the company is really a cutting edge company, and it's fun and worldwide. So and rental is another expansion for us in the rental community. So that keeps on adding on to that discussion.
Well, you guys, it sounds like you've taken off by storm, and I'm just excited to hear even more about your growth and definitely seeing you guys at InfoComm and yeah, checking out all of those amazing products that we've discussed today. So last question, what are you most looking forward to at InfoComm in Las Vegas? It could be on the show floor, it could be off the show floor, or you can give me a little bit of both. I'll take it all.
Yeah, no, I've been part of the industry for, oh my goodness, 25 plus years. And I think what's exciting for me is being in this market for over a decade. It's exciting for me to connect with people that I've known for decades and actually have them come by the booth and go, we can finally use your product. And again, I think that's the part I look forward to because it happened last year when we did this court system with BIAMP and things. It was amazing how many people go, okay, now with those. So my biggest thing is connecting with people in our industry. Our industry is great. I look forward to seeing a number of the young people as I get older and move out of the industry someday. You sit here and go, it's nice to see not only technology evolve, but younger people get involved in our industry and take us to new directions on things that obviously we don't all know. And it's great to see, all those things. So it's the people for me.
Absolutely. And it's always amazing to see every year there's more and more, young people in the AV industry and just learning about all of the products and just opportunities and careers that are out there. So I know 2024 absolutely. Is not going to be it's not going to let us down at all. So as I said, I can't wait to see you in InfoComm and stop by the booth. And I can't thank you enough for sitting down and chatting with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity. See you then.
Thanks. I really enjoyed speaking with Peter. He had so much information and he kind of broke things down in a way that I could understand and digest it. So he was really awesome to talk about. And yeah, as he said, they're going to be at InfoComm. So can't wait to see them there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I look forward to stopping by their booth at the show, seeing what they've got on offer. So, yeah, fantastic. Now, I guess we've come to the end of another episode. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure recording with you as always, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas. But before then, we're going to be recording our next episode with Smart Charge Tech. So, looking forward to that, and looking forward to welcoming you and all the audience back. So, yeah. I guess for now, it's goodbye from me. I'm Ben Barnard. That's Samantha Powell, and we will see you on the next episode of Backstage Pass.
See you, everyone.